All right, Jason. So a hell of a co-main event. Kelvin Gastelum, who last was seen challenging for the interim middleweight title, he's going to welcome Darren Till in his first middleweight fight. So who you got?
While researching, the questions for the media day stuff like that, I feel like I'm leaning to Gaslam and pretty strongly. Nothing against Darren Till. I think he's very, very good, but I feel like Gastelum might be the kind of fighter that Till maybe has problems with. Like one thing I was looking at, everybody's going to look at Darren Till and then Gastelum and see the height difference. And, oh, Darren Till's much bigger than him. But you know what's funny is he's reach is only a couple inches. Adesanya had a much bigger reach on Gastelum, and we saw how that fight went. And I lean toward Gastelum in that Till seems to have had a problem with smaller fighters who can explosively close the distance. Tyron Woodley rocked him and then eventually subbed him. Jorge Masvidal got in, a nice little feint kind of punch, feinted this way and came and threw a punch and got him, man. It could close the distance quick. We saw how good Gastelum was against Adesanya. Adesanya is as good as it gets in terms of reflexes and defense, and he can get in that special medium zone where he's not too close and not too far and close that distance real good, real fast, and with legit power. And since that Till doesn't have a necessarily long reach, the only thing that makes it interesting to me is Till's, he can point fight. He can use his distance. Maybe he doesn't use his reach, but he can fight long. And we saw it with Thompson. He even though I thought he lost that fight, he outpointed Stephen Thompson, which is a hell of a thing over 5 rounds. If it becomes that kind of fight, he can move a lot. Then and maybe with the not having to cut weight, it makes a big difference. But I'm going to lean towards Gastelum. I just think that he can get down and dirty. He can even maybe mix in some wrestling to really make it more interesting if he wants. He hasn't used it as much as middleweight. Maybe this is a fight where he employs it a little bit more. And I just feel like he has more of a more interesting tool set and has proven it already at middleweight that he gets the nod from me in this fight.
Yeah, I'm kind of seeing this in a similar fashion. I'm going to pick Kelvin Gastelum to win, and I think Gastelum is, as you said, he shows an incredible ability to close the distance and to get inside that gap and do what he does. Like, Kelvin Gastelum has consistently been outsized. Even at welterweight, he wasn't always. I mean, granted, he was thicker from a muscle and fat standpoint, but he was never the guy who towered over his opposition. Keep in mind, this is the same guy who ran the table with all finishes on the Ultimate Fighter at middleweight. So it's not like he's ever had issues with being the smaller guy.
Yeah.
I think maybe Chris Weidman was the only time we saw that.
Yes.
And Chris Weidman is an exceptionally big guy for middleweight, and you saw him at light heavyweight. Like he fit the part of light heavyweight, even though that result didn't quite go his way. I don't think Darren Till has the necessary skill to keep Gastelum out of that range. And if he does, like you said, man, he's got to play the ultra long game with the side kicks to the knee, like he did to Thompson, and circling to the outside. Like if this fight if Darren Till wins this fight, it's going to be a pretty difficult one to watch from an entertainment standpoint. But I don't think Kelvin Gastelum is going to let that happen. I think he is going to get on the inside at will. He's going to land with power. He's going to at least threaten with some takedowns. I don't think this is going to be a very good day for Darren Till. I think this is kind of too much to debut in middleweight after having two finishes in a row at welterweight. So, there's a reason why Dana White was not too excited about this matchup.
I have a question for you.
Yeah, what's up?
Do you think, and I was thinking about asking him this, but I don't know. Is this a lose-lose scenario for Kelvin Gastelum? Because he's the favorite in this fight. He's fighting a guy that the odds makers think he should beat. We think he should beat, but he's a legit fighter. And Till going up to middleweight makes a heck of a lot of sense in that he's always had problems cutting to the welterweight. He's a very large welterweight, so he may be a guy that this should have happened a long time ago and may be great for it. And if he loses, it necessarily wouldn't be shocking, but it's a guy he's supposed to lose to. If he loses to, it really sets him back because he was already fought Adesanya. Costa's in front of him. Is this a lose-lose scenario for him?
It kind of is. I mean, I spoke to Kelvin at the Dominus MMA Media Day a few weeks back, and
right.
he didn't really seem to take it that way. I mean, it was just kind of like business as usual. Like he sees something in this matchup that looks favorable to him. He was very excited to take this fight, and I think for him, it is sort of the perfect fight to take, to have a guy who has a big name like Darren Till, someone that obviously the UFC wants to get behind. Where if you beat him, the UFC has to respect you.
Yeah.
They have to put you front and center. I mean, they reluctantly, like you saw Dana White's face putting the belt on Tyron Woodley after he beat Till, and it was kind of like UFC had to respect it. It had to respect the gangster at that point. Masvidal is a guy who is kind of lingered around the fringe of top contention for a very long time until he floored Darren Till.
Yeah.
So beating Darren Till means a lot to the upper management of the UFC. So I think, from that standpoint, it's a good one, and it's also a guy who, if he's already pointed out something in his style that he likes, that he's favored, it's like, okay, this is a winnable fight, and it's a big name. Like you can, I mean, the alternative is what you fight a guy like a Yoel Romero who, who is obviously someone who we all respect, and who, if you do beat him, you deserve a title shot.
Yeah.
But he's also the sort of guy to where, whether you win or lose that fight, you're probably not going to be the same afterward.
Yeah.
So do you want to take that chance trying to go back up into that position, or would you rather have, which, no disrespect to Till, but presumably a softer touch? So in that sense, I think Gastelum is playing the game the way he feels is most advantageous to himself. So yeah. So I got Darren Till having a pretty dismal debut at 185, but I think ultimately he'll be better for a weight class change anyway. All right.